Hello, welcome to this video. The topic of this video is observational and experimental studies. The objective of this video is to identify the fundamental difference between observational and experimental studies. Okay, what is an observational study? An observational study measures the value of response variable without attempting to influence the value of either the response or explanatory variable. Meaning of that is the researcher purely observe what is happening in nature. For example, if they want to study the relationship between the number of absence a student have and the final grade, they will not tell anything to the student, but they will just observe what is happening. They will just record if someone is absent for a certain number of days, how is their final grade? Or if they are not absent, how is their final grade? They will just observe it without influencing anything. They will not influence either the response variable or explanatory variable, none of the variables. They will not influence either the dependent variable or the independent variable. There are a few things that we need to know in observational study. A researcher observes the behavior of individual without trying to influence the outcome of the study. That is, if we take the example of the number of absences and the grade, they will not tell about their observation. They will not tell that you need to go to school every day, you need to be present every day so that your final grade will be better. They are not going to say anything like that. Researcher observes the behavior of individual without trying to influence the outcome of the study. Next thing, researcher merely observes what is happening or what has happened in the past and tries to draw the conclusion based on the observation. So what they will do is either they will study what is happening now, or they will take the data from the past, they will observe that data and then make conclusion about their observation. Observational study do not allow researcher to claim causation. So in observational study, they will not say that because of this it is happening. They will not tell that. Instead, they will tell the association. Like if the number of absences increases, the final grade will decrease. They'll just tell the association, but they will not talk about the causation. So that is the fundamental idea about the observational study. Okay, next we have experimental study. In experimental study, researcher manipulates one of the variables and tries to determine how manipulation influences the other variable. So in this one, it is different from the observational study. In fact, here, researcher try to manipulate some of the variables and then they'll look at the result by changing certain variable, how the outcome will be. Okay, so for example, after the observational study, if they saw that if someone has so many number of absence and their final grade is low, in the experimental study, what they will do is they'll try to send this student more number of time to the class and then look at the result, whether the result will be improved by doing that or not. Or somebody will be asked to remain more number of days absent. I don't know if that is possible. And then they'll see that the grade will go down. Okay, so they'll try to manipulate one or more variables and then they will study the outcome. And here the independent or explanatory variable, the independent variable, or if you think of the graph, the x variable, which is also called the explanatory variable in an experiment study, is one that is being manipulated. So whenever they are manipulating something, always remember that they try to manipulate the x variable or the independent variable. We say explanatory variable. And then because of the influence in the explanatory variable, they will see the change in the outcome, or they will see the change in the dependent variable. So the resultant variable is called the dependent variable or the outcome variable. Now, if a researcher assigns the individual in a study to a certain group, intentionally changes the value of explanatory variable and then record the value of the response variable for each group, the study is a design experiment. So if a researcher is manipulating the x variable and then recording the y variable, or manipulating the explanatory variable and then they are recording the outcome or the response variable, then that type of study is called the design experiment, because this is not an observation. Instead, this is something designed by the experiment. Most of the science experiments are design experiment, because we try to manipulate one variable and then we'll try to study the result. Okay. Last thing we need to know in experimental study is co-founding or lurking variable. So when we say co-founding or lurking variable, so this one, the co-founding or lurking variable, is one that influence the outcome. Okay, so the lurking variable or co-founding variable will influence the outcome. It will change the outcome. Or dependent variables, sometimes it can change the dependent variable or the outcome variable, not sometimes, in fact most of the time. But what happened is, was not separated from the independent variable. It is associated with the independent variable. Pretty much it is an independent variable that influences the outcome or dependent variable. Those type of variables are called the lurking variable. Always remember, lurking variables are associated with the independent variable and influence the outcome or result of the experiment. So that is the fundamental thing we need to know about the experimental study. Okay, summary of this video. In this short video, we explore the fundamental differences between observational and experimental studies. Thank you for watching.